You're looking at a woman who was publicly silent for a decade.
Do you remember her name? Of course you do. Monica Lewinsky. For years, she was the face splashed across headlines, the late-night punchline, the whispered scandal. No one could escape. But here's what you don't know. Behind the jokes and the shame lies a story of power, betrayal, survival, and a shocking truth about her life today that the world rarely talks about. In this video, we're revealing the woman history tried to silence and revealing the side of Monica Lewinsky you have never seen before. Monica Samili Lewinsky was born on July 23, 1973 in San Francisco. She wasn't destined to be ordinary. Her family carried a history of survival and reinvention. Her father, Bernard, was an oncologist whose family fled Nazi Germany, landing first in El Salvador before coming to the US. He was just 14 when they arrived, carrying the legacy of displacement and resilience. Her mother, Marcia Lewis, wasn't content to fade quietly into the background either. In 1996, she published a book about the three tenors, hinting at her own hunger for visibility. Fame, ambition, reinvention. It seemed coded into Monica's family DNA. She grew up in Beverly Hills, in a $1.6 million Spanish-style mansion. Her childhood was cushioned with luxury, Cadillacs, symphony outings, vacations that cost $20,000 a year. Yet behind the privilege lurked turbulence. Her parents' marriage imploded in 1987 when Monica was 14. The divorce was vicious, with accusations of infidelity, expensive gifts for mistresses, and violent fights echoing through the house. Therapy became routine. $1,800 a month worth of it. Monica herself would later confess, "I was brought up with lies. I have lied my entire life." Those early fractures left her with a dangerous craving, a need to be seen, validated, and chosen. At school, she poured herself into theater, choir, and drama clubs. But tragedy shadowed even those escapes. Her beloved drama teacher died by suicide, and the loss shook her deeply. She left Beverly Hills High for Bel Air Prep, a tiny private school with only 7 seniors. There, she became valedictorian. Her classmates remembered her as smart, ambitious, destined for something big. No one, though, could have predicted just how big or how brutal it would be. At 19, she entered a relationship with her former drama teacher, Andy Blyler. He was 40, married with children. Monica not only followed him to Oregon while attending Lewis and Clark College, she babysat his kids, while simultaneously carrying on an affair with him. To outsiders, it seemed reckless, even disturbing. To Monica, it was another chapter in her ongoing search for validation from older, unavailable men. Psychology was her major, and perhaps fittingly so. She was fascinated by human emotions, control, and power. She graduated in 1995 with honors, despite juggling multiple jobs and a stormy personal life. That same year, a powerful family friend landed her an unpaid internship at the White House. She had no political background or no real qualifications, but she had connections. And then fate, timing, and history collided. In November 1995, a government shutdown emptied the West Wing of most staff. Only unpaid interns like Monica remained. That's when the president began to notice her. She was 22 while he was 49. Their flirtation turned physical on November 15th, and what began as stolen moments quickly escalated into an affair. There were 9 documented encounters over the next 18 months, some in the Oval Office itself. There were gifts exchanged, late-night calls, and moments that blurred the line between secrecy and intimacy. And then, of course, there was the infamous blue dress, stained during one encounter, later preserved by her confidant Linda Tripp. That dress would become the single most important piece of evidence in a scandal that shook the nation. By January 1998, the story leaked, and suddenly Monica wasn't just a young woman, she was that woman. President Clinton went on television, looked into the cameras, and said the words still replayed in history classes. "I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky." He didn't call her by name. He reduced her to a political threat. Imagine being 24 years old and hearing the most powerful man in the world deny your existence, not as a person, but as truth itself. Imagine being called a stalker, liar, and a narcissist. Cameras outside your home 24/7, comedians turning you into a punchline, newspapers dissecting your every move. Monica herself would later reflect, "I was arguably the most humiliated person in the world." Do you ever wonder, if social media had existed back then, would she have survived it at all? For 6 months, Monica lived like a prisoner, trapped inside of her mother's apartment. Her mother even left the bathroom door open when Monica showered, terrified her daughter might attempt suicide. The emotional toll was devastating. Monica admitted, "I wanted to die." And yet somehow she endured. By July 1998, she agreed to testify before a grand jury in exchange for immunity. Clinton's own testimony that summer produced his now famous line, "It depends on what the meaning of this is." Congress wasn't amused. By December, the House voted to impeach him on charges of perjury and obstruction. The Senate acquitted him, but history was written, and Monica's name was permanently inked into it. When the dust settled, she tried to reclaim herself. In March 1999, she gave Barbara Walters an exclusive interview. 70 million people tuned in, making it one of the most watched television events in history. She earned $1 million for that single interview. The same year, she co-authored Monica's story with Andrew Morton, the biographer of Princess Diana, earning another $500,000. For a brief moment, it seemed like she might transform her notoriety into opportunity. But fame, for her, was always a double-edged sword. A $1 million Jenny Craig deal collapsed after backlash. She received only $300,000. Her handbag line, The Real Monica Inc., launched in high-end stores like Fred Siegel and Henri Bendel, but faded quickly. In 2003, she hosted Fox's dating show, Mr. Personality. Ratings started strong but plummeted, and the show was canceled after 5 episodes. Everywhere she turned, the shadow of the scandal trailed behind her, and so she retreated again. She moved to London, earning a master's degree in social psychology from the London School of Economics. For years, she stayed quiet. She turned down offers totaling more than $10 million because they felt exploitative. She waited until she was ready, not when the world demanded it. That moment came in 2014, when she broke her silence with a 6,000-word essay in Vanity Fair titled Shame and Survival. She wrote about the pain of being the world's first victim of online shaming, about watching an 18-year-old student named Tyler Clementi die by suicide after being humiliated online, and about how her own mother's fear of losing her in 1998 came flooding back. The essay struck a chord. For the first time in years, the public began to see her not as a joke, but as a human being. The following year, she delivered a TED Talk, The Price of Shame, which went viral with more than 20 million views. "I was patient zero of losing a personal reputation on a global scale almost instantaneously," she declared. The talk was raw, powerful, and transformative, not just for her, but for the conversation around public shaming in the internet age. By the late 2010s, Monica Lewinsky was an advocate, a voice, and a survivor. She became a contributing writer for Vanity Fair, a keynote speaker on cyberbullying, and, in 2021, an executive producer for Impeachment, American Crime Story, which dramatized the scandal that had defined her life. For the first time, she had creative control over her own narrative. That same year, she co-produced the HBO Max documentary, 15 Minutes of Shame, examining the culture of public humiliation. And then came another reinvention. In 2024, Monica launched her first podcast, Reclaiming with Monica Lewinsky. Produced by Wondery, the series explores how people rebuild their lives after public destruction. Guests like Olivia Munn, Molly Ringwald, and Alan Cumming joined her in conversations about shame, resilience, and renewal. On The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, she laughed as she admitted her dream guest would be Taylor Swift, someone else who knows what it means to be dragged through the mud and then rise again. Her podcast is beyond content. It's catharsis. It's proof that she's no longer defined by her past, but by what she does with it. Now let's talk about money. After everything, Monica Lewinsky's net worth in 2025 is estimated at around $1.5 million. Not tens of millions, as internet rumors claim, but a modest fortune earned through speaking engagements, writing, production deals, and carefully chosen media appearances. Much of what she could have made, $10 million or more, she turned down. Why? Because she refused to sell herself in ways that felt wrong. In a world that once mocked her for being a victim, she found power in saying no. Monica Lewinsky is 52 now. She mingles with Hollywood elites, yes, but she's no longer chasing fame. She doesn't crave an apology from Bill Clinton, and she doesn't need the world's forgiveness. She's built something better, her own voice, values, and her own peace. She once said, "I eventually realized that I couldn't run away from what happened to me. I had to integrate it." That's her legacy, not the scandal, jokes, or the shame, but the integration, resilience, and reclamation. And in the end, Monica Lewinsky is a lesson in survival.